Hello and welcome back. This is the Siberian here, and we have another epic battle replay for the Empire 2 Generals mod. This is now a standalone mod built off of Empire 2 and still associated with it, but has its own separate download and is focused on multiplayer only. So if you guys are into mods like NTW3 or Field Command Napoleon, this is kind of like that, but for Empire Total War. This is a unique 3v2 battle. So in this corner we have two players as Prussia, and in our alliance here we have the Dutch, the Portuguese, and the British on the battlefield of Oudenarde, I think is how you say it. So I only brought half of the money for a regular army, and Portugal was supposed to, didn't quite understand what I was getting at when I was explaining that. And so he brought a little bit extra, but then some units end up getting stuck in this house, so he can't use them. So it ends up being a fairly balanced battle. I will say, however, this is a long battle replay. So what I'm going to do is make a cut here in just a second, jump ahead to when we're kind of getting into first contact, and explain what's happened. And whenever there's a lull in the fighting, I'll make a cut and just kind of hopefully speed things up for us. But with that said, this is going to be a good one, so buckle in, grab some snacks, and let's get this show on the road. Alright, here we are back in the battle. So as you can see, my Dutch troops have taken up a position right here. The Portuguese kind of filling in on my left and right flank. The Portuguese are commanded by Diego something. Sorry, Diego. But I unpaused it here because we got a bit of a cav battle going on with some Prussian lancers fighting some Portuguese cuirassiers and my light cavalry in support, and then we got another light cav versus light cav engagement here. The goal of the Prussian cav was to take out this 6-pounder, which they took out one gun, but this cannon ends up reforming, which is really good for us. And those lancer guards are broken by the heavy cuirassier. Meanwhile, my artillery continues to fight. So we got, on this team is me, the Siberian, with the Dutch, and I had a half-strength army, but I took a lot of militia, so it's still pretty large. In fact, I think I had the largest army. I almost had the largest army out of my whole team. So I have a lot of militia up front, and then a couple of nicer units, and just 2 light cav. And Diego is with the Portuguese, and unfortunately 3 units that walk too close to this can get stuck inside of it. I'm not exactly sure why that is. It might be because it's hanging over the water. I'll try and fix that in the future, but you got 3 units stuck in there, so that we're 3 units short, which is good for balance. But he's bringing a pretty good mix of, there's some lights and some line. Quite a number of lighter infantry though, which can be useful, but probably you don't want to go overboard with. And then Blake Likes Tea, who is one of the loyal guys I used to play with back when I created the Empire Extended mod. That was kind of my first Empire Total War mod. He's moving up some British volunteers, and got some light infantry and a regiment of foot. But his pride and joy is always the fixed heavy artillery, so he's got some 8-inch mortars and one thing of rockets. They do end up being decent for us. My Dutch light cav is pretty heavily damaged, but reformed over here. And yeah, we'll not make a cut maybe, but just bump it into higher gear as we get into the battle. We're playing against, let me check my screenshot, Rafael.Gronberg as one Prussian army, and RPG the Great as the other Prussian army. And RPG brought an army of 5,000 guys, and Rafael just like, I don't know if I said that right, but his army is just like under 3,000 troops. So, not a ton of Prussians, but they are some very expensive Prussians. Alright, we're spotting some Freijägers and Hussars. I was gonna move my artillery forward and realized that he was advancing, so decided against it. I am moving up in the middle, trying to take this little bit of high ground and this village. With my, mostly with the militia, since my troops started on this side of the river. Both the Portuguese and the British were on the far side of the river and had to cross. So my goal was to create a lot of room for them to maneuver in. So we'll kick it back into play here. The Jaegers are getting set up. I'm scouting a bit with my cav. That horse artillery that the Prussian cav went for reformed, and my troops are getting bombarded by a lot of heavy artillery, heavy horse guard. So 2 24-pounders and an 18-pounder. All I brought was the 6-pounder because I had a cheaper army. Ooh, but that was a good hit. These guys aren't great artillery targets, but they're all I can see, so. And we got some British Fusiliers moving up in the center. 3 sets. Field Marshal. These Lifeguard Cav end up being very good for us. They turn the tide at one point. Oh, and there was some rockets that went down. Sorry, I missed that. I don't think they got many kills, but now I'm trying to counter battery their artillery. So far, pretty unsuccessfully, although we killed one and destroyed a couple carriages, or caissons, that's what they're called. So far, pretty stagnant though. Probably overextended. I wanted the Portuguese to come support this flank, but as we'll see here in a minute, there was a lot more Prussians than I anticipated. Also, one thing, if you play this mod against me, is you will realize I tend to be aggressive. I have more fun attacking than playing passive. I'm not a good defender. Got some Prussian grenadiers pushing on the right. So I will always tend to be the guy who pushes. Don't know why, but it's more fun that way. We got some cav consolidating here on the right. Looks like the Portuguese are going to set up their artillery on this little stream bed, and those streams do slow you down, so it's not a bad approach. I'm pushing forward my infantry so that they can easily fire on the Prussian light infantry, because otherwise those lights will just pick off my troops. Not much. Alright, now we're spotting some Prussians. So we got a heavy Prussian force. I think this is RPG's Prussians here. The advantage of Prussia is that they have some really good grenadiers, and then some line infantry. I don't know if he brought any, but their basic line infantry has 240 troops instead of, ooh, that was a good artillery hit, 240 troops instead of 220, and that 20 troop difference can actually be very effective. Now these named musketeers are a little bit more effective, but are still 120, and it looks like they took a number of friendly fire hits as they were marching in front of their artillery. Alright, we got a solid engagement going on this front, and oh, looking at the map, we are spotting the enemy troops lining up on our right flank. Oops, phase through existence. And I think that sent us into a bit of a probably unwarranted panic, but I mean, my right flank is pretty well in the air, and so I'm start chatting at this point. It's like, oh, I'm gonna need to withdraw behind this stream. So that becomes our kind of new defensive line, is this stream bed. We have the Dutch have a slight hill advantage, it looks like. But these grenadiers, man, this one in particular is a scary unit. It's got 200 troops, and they do not go down without a fight. They have high morale. And so we're withdrawing cavalry. I'm trying to stabilize the flank, and eventually should just commit to withdrawing. Ooh, another good artillery hit. That shrapnel shot is really hit or miss. When it hits, it is super deadly, but it doesn't hit all that often. But when it does hit, it kills way more than a round shot. Alright, ooh, some canister taking out the many grenadiers here. And these are the giant grenadiers. These guys are scary as well. Ooh, got some good hits on the sharpshooters. I'm trying to hold fire until the enemy are close. Oh, I left that on fire at will. Let's see how this volley goes. Ooh. Canister. I don't know where that canister went. But ooh, and a volley into the back. So those grenadiers break, but these ones reach the pretty thin infantry lines of Portugal here. Meanwhile, we got an engagement kind of forming across the front. Not much on the right still, but the left is getting pushed hard. Trying to reform to support my Portuguese allies on the left there. Oh man, that's really unfortunate that I left these on fire at will, because that's killing friendlies. My bad. And now I'm committing to a slow withdrawal. Sent these militia in to hold them back. Like I said, I like to attack, and it leaves me rarely with a positive KDR, but hey, we're neutralizing the advantage of the Jaegers there a bit. Although Jaegers do still do decent in melee. They're better than regular light infantry. So yeah, just kind of getting a controlled withdrawal, because these guys are starting to push. Well, British still have quite a few reserves. Got some sharpshooters stuck in the swamp. some infantry protecting the artillery. We figured that they would make some attempt at some point to withdraw to the or to try and take out the whatchamacallit there, the heavy artillery. Alright, my cannoneers break and the grenadiers are charging. Look at that, 32 guys and they're still holding on. So I am now in full withdrawal mode. These Fusiliers are firing into friendly troops, unfortunately. They stop eventually, but getting some friendly fire there. 105, 127, yeah. We did see off this other grenadier unit, but they did a number on my guys. So far the Prussians have pushed us back, but this right flank is untouched. All the pressure has come on this left flank. And there has been a number of friendly fire incidents too, which has helped us, because we have the number advantage between having 3 players and then me bringing extra cheap but numerous infantry. We will want to kill as many as possible. Every unit killed is a win for us. Of course, that's just how combat works in general, but you know. Alright, so we have another little lull here. I mean, there's a little action going on, but nothing too crazy. I may make a cut. Yeah, I'm gonna make a cut and we'll be back momentarily. Alright, we are back now. A small Prussian grenadier push here got held off on this left flank, but they are forming up, and we did see another Prussian cavalry attack countered by some, once again, these Portugal Royal Cuirassiers have been invaluable to stem off these many Prussian horse units, and we got some squares formed. I was bringing over, I believe, some Dutch lights. I wanted to support my flank a bit, but end up helping out on this flank with the cav. This ends up being the main cav engagement, as you can tell. But with a couple squares and these heavy horse guards, there's a good... This is a dangerous spot for these guys, but... Yep, my lights are now moving to help support, and we got more infantry moving forward. I tried to sneak some grenadiers to the cover of the village, see if I could get a sneaky charge on their Jaegers. That's a cool hat. What building have we captured? Oh, we sent some British infantry into that building there. It's a good strong point to hold on that right flank. Luckily, so this artillery unit, these guys, there's only 3 of them, and they were shattered, but they got stuck on their cannons. So the Prussians are wasting a lot of ammunition trying to shoot them, which is fine by me. Charged in the grenadiers, but he withdrew the Jaegers, which was unfortunate. I was hoping I was catching them unaware. So now it's just a, let's get these guys in the fight and do as much damage as we can. And he met grenadiers with grenadiers. And my Dutch grenadiers do not do me proud there. Breaking very quickly. Trying to move these guys up to be in range. I got just a pretty solid line battle on this left flank. British reinforcements. The militia. Ooh, his artillery trying to take out this Hussar unit, but that Hussar unit is going for the mortar batteries, but it's got a few surprises waiting for it. You can watch this little engagement. Surprise number one. Ooh, and that dropped a number. See how they handle surprise number two. Ooh, that's a good shot. They get caught up on something? Oh, there's a couple of Brits outside the house, and that caught up the Hussars there. And now the sharpshooters are going to open up. Yikes. That is unfortunate. I was also rushing over some of my cav. Meanwhile, we got a very solid push here by the Prussians in the center. More rockets, that's the word. And now all across the line it looks like the Prussians are pushing. It's a good spot to push while they're in square. We saw off that cav unit, so now it is up to the infantry. We are weakening on this left flank, but we do have a number of reserves. I was letting my guys keep some good cohesion as long as possible, kind of holding fire. I was thinking, looking at all the troops here that are melee focused, grenadiers and such, that I was gonna have to face a heavy charging army, so that's kind of why I was thinking hold fire as long as possible and keep their cohesion up. As you can see in the mini-map, we are getting curled back on this flank. Still holding along the river on this flank, but we have no river to guard our extreme left. It does create a bit of a narrowing between here, but not significantly. Did break that Prussian Jaeger unit. Now we got a line battle as the Portuguese engage the Prussians. Really worried about this cav, but it's a Hussar unit and his cuirassier guard should be able to easily take care of it. I'm sending my lights on a wide flanking journey, so eventually they'll go all the way out and around here. But Jaeger's trying to do some scattered formations so they're harder to hit. Trying to form a reserve because I expect a big push right here. Engineers, they can be useful if you get to the close range with the grenades. Also, if there's ever a map with a fort, engineers have grappling hooks so they can let other units climb up. That guy finally escaped from his guns. Very solid line battle there. The whole length of the field. Oh, and here's an engineering team trying to get close to throw the grenades. I was aware of it, so I told everybody to target the engineers. And so far they're not having much luck, but wow. Come on guys, shoot them. Yes, they are with bad cohesion and a militia unit, so Now we're hitting him. And I immediately withdraw because I realize he's about to throw grenades, which he does, which fortunately falls short. I'm gonna get a few kills, but not like it could have been. Over on this flank, here go another Prussian grenade throw, and this one is a lot more effective. Look at that. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. More grenadiers moving forward. I did countercharge with some of my grenadiers as engineers to force them back, so I didn't have to keep worrying about them throwing grenades. I am taking some serious losses. Lines are weakening. Because remember, I brought a lot of troops, but not very good ones. Looks like the Royal Cuirassier Guard are moving to re-establish dominance, cav dominance on this flank. Even pushing across the river. Very, very bold. I was not aware of this because I was worried about my flank. Uh-oh. I think these guys had run out of ammo anyway, so I thought, why not delay the enemy as long as possible, but I don't think it worked. Charging in all my national militia, but they're gonna get slaughtered by some grenadiers. And this is having to shift the lines, holding on as much as I can. Are they gonna throw grenades again? No? Let's check the guys in the houses. Getting some good kills on those hussars. Oh, but now my militia are breaking and I am in full withdrawal mode. We need to tighten up our lines and hold off, because if you just look at the density of the red squares versus the blue squares on this flank, not good. Not good at all. This house is continuing to be a thorn in the side of the... Oh. Looks like they're about to start shooting. No, they can't target them very easily. They keep taking pot shots at those hussars. But the Portuguese are now withdrawing. We got a little bit British resistance here. I'm trying to withdraw troops without having a complete collapse of the front line. My Swedes are in there. Historically, there was a Swedish mercenary group that fought for the Dutch. Thought that was a fun little fact, so I included them in the roster. And they have good speed and pretty good morale, but they do end up breaking. But that bought us enough time to get a decent line formed up. However, we're just going to be kiting, falling back for a while until we reform around this village. So I'm going to go ahead and do another cut, fast forward, and we will resume when the action resumes. Alright, here we are back in the battle. So the British and Blake R and the Portuguese Diego fought a very nice delaying action that allowed my troops to withdraw and kind of recover a bit. There's a funny little engagement where the drummers here charged in. They broke a couple units. Like some of these units here, and tried to break these grenadiers. Ended up breaking both the grenadiers and their own unit, but very brave drummers. And now we are kind of reforming, and this is another delayed time where neither side is sure how much push the other side has left. So I'm gonna still make a cut. I just wanted to update us as we're here. There is one final act of this drama to be played, and that will be taking place as the final push of the Anglo-Dutch Portuguese alliance. Makes a push against the Prussian. So we'll get to that point and then finish out this epic replay. Have I mentioned before that I like to attack? Oh, that was very good. I asked Blake Likes Tea to focus down this left flank with artillery, and we got some really good hits. Like, really good hits. Which is pretty much luck, because those things are really inaccurate. And so I moved forward what was left of my lines and sent the Swedes in first, and am pushing with what few troops I had left. Oh, and we got some friendly fire. That's really unfortunate. I was hoping they would aim that way, but what can you do? I was microing elsewhere. The Swedes, man. So I noticed why I decided to push is because it's Prussian volunteers, so they're not the best of the best troops. And then some weakened troops. Now he does move up his hussars, but I decide to I did a little cool move there. It's made him widen for the final charge. I have more grenadiers moving up. Ooh, some good artillery hits there again. And really, it's probably mostly the artillery, but it is working. Fired a grenadiers volley and broke their Prussian volunteers and the hussars. My Swedes break, but I'm now sending in the grenadiers and trying to just make something happen, because we've been sitting here in this kind of stalemate. I did make a attempt on his artillery with my light cavalry, which I didn't realize there was enemy troops in this house. But there aren't. Oh, whatever. Back to the action. The light cavalry attack on his artillery did not turn out to be successful. My grenadiers are struggling against his infantry and break, though his troops are wavering. My grenadiers are shattered, so. And you know, at this point, I'm realizing, okay, I'm just running out of troops. I gotta make what difference I can, and that will be the end of the Dutch assistance to this fight. And the Prussians really going in for the full-on attack. They're charging in, doing a decent amount of damage. I believe I should start moving up my field marshal and that last little militia reserve. And on this flank, the Prussians are advancing. So, see off those musketeers, and now we're trying to push up, kind of keep the pressure on this flank. If we can turn it, that'd be great. See, way over here, I managed to charge some Jaegers and get a good kill of that unit. The horse artillery doing its thing. Some rockets coming in. Rockets have a decent effect. They're demoralizing. They're good at troops that are hitting troops that are clumped up. And now I'm just pushing, you know? Gotta attack. Attack, attack, attack. That's my philosophy. And that's why I have not good kill to death ratios, but sending in this grenadier unit, those two are weakened. And when you send in units, you want to try and move up units on their flank as well, because otherwise they'll get a outflanked penalty. Got some friendly artillery landing a bit short, which could be dangerous for our troops. Tangle of melee there. Ooh, he sent in his, I think these are technically light infantry, kind of like skirmish intermediate troops. Field marshal is there. My national militia do break, but send in yet more national militia. And at this point I'm thinking, alright, this is the end of the Dutch, right? We haven't got a chance. My grenadiers break. I have this infantry left. I did sneak around my field marshal and figured I'll throw him into the fray, sandwich this musketeer unit. Once again, that militia's breaking. These are breaking. This has to be the end, right? Meanwhile, along the front, the British and Prussians and Portuguese are just engaging in a line battle. This is kind of the flank where more dramatic things are happening, and now we have 3 Prussians charging in. Pretty low strength Prussians, I'll give them that. I have 100 troops left in my field marshal. Rockets coming in. Field marshal going in for another charge. Just trying to disrupt and demoralize their troops, and it's working. That one only has 38, 75, 117. My infantry's down to 68, but with their field marshal nearby, they're fighting strong. We've got another field marshal coming in. Really desperate when you have to throw in your field marshal. Oh, and we shattered that one. And this one's wavering. We could end this Prussian threat on that flank. That would be a huge win for our alliance. And it looks like the canister shot or something, some artillery, managed to really damage this flank. So we're now winning on both flanks, as we do manage to break that Prussian unit. And that was a close thing. Very close thing. Bringing the Portuguese heavy cavalry up. Ooh, the British attempted a brave but perhaps suicidal charge. And now we're getting counter pushed in the center. We are still winning the flanks. Let's go check out this flank. Sending my field marshal in to disrupt as much as possible of the Prussians' formations. Meanwhile, some elite lifeguard are charging right in, getting countercharged by the Northern English regiment of foot. Those lines collide. And yeah, the British foot won't win that, but they do have their field marshal going in like a mad lad. They are breaking a bit. They form square. Uh-oh, he got slowed down. And the British there break. See, once again, the field marshal with just a few guys left I was very proud of these two units. They really held on till the bitter end. And all of a sudden, the once mighty Prussia is starting to look like we could take them. This Field Marshal tried to stop and shoot. Does wisely charge the weaker enemy unit, not the square, but I think Prussia's realizing at this point they have run out of troops. And that engineering team breaks. That means the volunteers are shaking in their boots. Portuguese pushing hard. Artillery still taking on those grenadiers. We'll say it's a hard-fought battle. General's bodyguard coming up to stem the cuirassier down to 20 guys. Man, I wonder what their total kill count was. So that was one epic unit. Heavy cav can be very effective. It's just can be very difficult to use correctly. Engineering team breaks. The Field Marshal down to 15 troops, but still fighting. Kind of being a disruptive force. Grenadiers here under fire. I'm worried that this General's bodyguard would overrun my last remaining little weak troops. So I formed him into square and withdrew my Field Marshal. I don't think I realized how strong the Portuguese Field Marshal still was, but the Prussians are pulling back, trying to get to the support of their guns and out of the range of these rockets and mortars, which really is probably a big part of what saved us. I don't think my push on this flank would have worked without a few decisive explosive rounds landing perfectly. Look at those bodies, man. Bloody. You have a Prussian general's bodyguard trying to take on my square. And the square winning slightly, but struggling still. We did break it. That's good. That's good. And so with that, that was good. The Prussians are withdrawing. There is one final dramatic moment where the British Field Marshal or General sneaks around, takes canister to the face right here, breaks, rallies right here, and manages to finish off the Prussian artillery. But I think for our purposes and to keep this video a reasonable length, we're going to call this the battle. This is pretty much where it turned, and we just slowly pushed off the Prussian troops. This was a very fun, epic battle with some newer players, at least to this mod, and it was a good time. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and we will catch you again on the next one. And thanks you guys who have been joining. It's fun to have a 3v2. Hopefully we get a very solid 3v3 up and running here. But with all that, hope you have a good one. Until next time, bye.